Well, this next topic is sensitive, personal, and can be difficult, but also necessary to talk about. November is Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Canada.
One organization that supports victims and survivors of intimate partner violence in the GTA is zeroing in on one act in particular, strangulation. Jaspreet Gill, Executive Director of the York Region Centre for Community Safety, joins us live now to talk more about this really important campaign. Jaspreet, thanks so much for joining us. My mother was a victim of domestic violence. I don't think people realize how common it is and what it does to not just the woman involved, but the entire family unit. I appreciate that you're zeroing in on something so specific and the reasons for it. So why strangulation?
First, thank you for sharing that. And, you know, it shows the resilience of your mother. And it's so great for you to talk about it because we need to destigmatize intimate partner violence. We chose strangulation because the research shows that when a woman's partner applies pressure on her neck, either by his hands, his arms, or an object, immediately, by 750%, does the likelihood of her dying, being killed by this partner, increase. So that's an immediate 750% increase of her dying by his hands.
That's shocking. I mean, and when I read this last night as I was preparing for this interview, I sort of couldn't believe the statistic there here, Jaspreet. So incredibly concerning here. But how do you start the conversations with women who may be reluctant to even discuss it? And what are the sort of the signs that you should look for if you think perhaps someone has been a victim of this? Well,
it's a great question. So our survivors don't necessarily disclose it right away because they themselves aren't aware.
Yeah.
Like many of us aren't until we become aware through training, et cetera, that this is a high-risk indicator of potential femicide. So when we work with survivors, we ask that question, that key question: has he applied any pressure to your neck? And from there, we're able to then provide the wraparound services and see, does she need medical attention? So when we look at, or if anyone is looking to see, hey, is someone experiencing strangulation or intimate partner violence? Well, strangulation doesn't always show up. It's not always a visible injury. Yeah. So look to see, are her movements controlled? Is she being controlled in some way? Is she isolated from family and friends? Those are key indicators. And if she won't, as I said, won't disclose, you can ask that question. Yeah. Has someone applied pressure to your neck?
And Jaspreet, as part of this campaign, which includes 19 videos, which we can talk about, you're also aiming to dispel some of these myths, because I think these days with, you know, you hear these loose terms being thrown around, for example, during sex, choking. There's a fine line between these things. So what are some of these myths that you want to dispel?
First, choking. Erroneously, we use that term. It's strangulation. And when strangulation, this is what we've heard from the survivors that we serve. When strangulation occurs during sex, it is for the partner's gratification. And she's not asked for consent. She has not consented to this. And also problematic, she's herself not aware of the dangers of strangulation. So at the point of strangulation, a woman is at the edge of a homicide. That's how serious this is, and that's why we're doing this campaign. The other myth that we want to dispel is that there are not necessarily any visible injuries during strangulation or when strangulation occurs. In fact, half of the strangulation cases do not have visible injuries, and that includes the fatal cases.
Wow.
So we do need to ask that question. We need to be aware, because there can be irreparable damage that is internal that we can't see, including blood clots and stroke.
This is such an important conversation, Jaspreet, and I wonder if people are watching and maybe thinking, okay, this is either me or I think I know someone, where can they go to find out more, and how can they sort of get the appropriate help necessary then?
Thank you so much for that. Please go to our website, yrccs.ca. We've launched live this campaign talking about strangulation, and also on all of our social media, X, Twitter, sorry, it's the same thing.
That's right.
X,
That's good.
Instagram, Facebook. You will find all of the campaign videos where we talk about the dangers of strangulation, the impact that it has on the body, and of course, where survivors can find hope.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Hope in such a devastating situation that can seem paralyzing, literally, sometimes. Jaspreet Gill, thank you so much for joining us for this important conversation. And, you know, I hope people can benefit from our conversation this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.